Hey everybody, a couple of weeks ago, Mark over at Deep Sky Detail put up a video for the No Intelligence Challenge. And it is a challenge to process M33 using no AI tools. Pretty fun stuff. I will link to his video up here, and in the interim, he also put out another video where he walks through his processing. I'll put a link down in the description for that. So here's an excerpt from his video, and then we'll go ahead and jump in.
So what are the rules? First, you need to process my Messier 33 data somehow. Download the data by going to my GitHub link. When you process the image, you can use one filter, like the Luminance filter, to create a monochrome image, or all 5 filters to create a color image. It's up to you. You need to submit your final image to deepskydetail.challenges@gmail.com by February 10th, 2025. The work should be your own and not someone else's. What are the restrictions? There can be no AI tools that use neural networks to process your image. None. But what about Star Exterminator or StarNet++? Nope. Graxpert? Not the AI tools. What about Photoshop? Any tool in Photoshop that is not artificial intelligence is fine. So what will you get if you win? It might be fun to give the winner a Deep Sky Detail Bachtinov mask. Above all, I just want this to be a fun, interesting challenge. If you like it, we can keep doing these things.
All right, so let's get started here. I've downloaded Mark's files, and I've got his final blue-green, HA, luminance, and red files here. I'm going to set my home to my processing folder that I've created here. I got some stuff here. It's a little bit ahead of us. I'll get to this in just a little bit. So in Siril, I'm using 1.2.5. There is an update available, but I didn't do it yet. So I'll set my home, and I'm going to go to the root folder for the challenge. I'll open that. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go through an exercise in cropping here, because it's not necessarily straightforward in Siril on how to crop multiple images and get them the same size. So basically, like in Pixelmath, you could do a dynamic crop and apply the same crop to each image, and it would be each image would be cropped exactly the same to the pixel. And we have a way we can do that in Siril, but I'll have to walk you through it because it takes a few steps. But so the first thing I want to do, though, is go ahead and open up these files. And I'll also tell you that red has the lowest mean brightness. I went through and checked each one of these. So if I open the red up and we take a look at statistics on this, then our mean here is 790. And actually, in fact, I think the HA is less than this. Normally, what I would do is go through and I would use the linear match tool here and then pull up each image and match it. But since the way that we're going to do this for our cropping, we can do a normalization as part of that process, and which is basically gets us to the same place as doing the linear match will. So we won't need to do that. So the first thing that I want to do is get all these cropped because our HA is the worst of all these. So I'm going to show you the HA real quick. So we had like a lot of rotation. So if I do an auto stretch on that, you can see we've got a lot of rotation artifact here from stacking. So this is the worst of all of them. And so this is going to be our main image that we set up our crop on, and then to apply the crop to all the other images. So the first thing we need to do is we need to do a conversion, because we need to get a sequence that we can work with. So I'm going to click the plus button here, and we're going to select all these images and click add. Now I really want to change my home folder now, and I'm going to go to a folder. I'm going to name it convert, or just CONV, and we'll create that and open it. And then I want to go ahead and run this conversion, and the sequence name for this will be convert sequence, and fits images, and these will be symbolic links, which is fine. So we'll click on convert. Okay, that should be done. So if we go to our convert folder now, we've got the conf sequence with these files. Now we're going to need to pay attention. This convert text here is going to be important so that we can reference. We can also look up here, final is equal to convert 001 up here in the top right corner. So that'll also tell us what the mapping to the converted files is from the originals. But right now, as it sits, if we look at the conversion files, we have no idea what's red, green, blue, HA, or luminance without referring to the text document. All right, so with that conversion done, we need to open up the conversion files. And actually, it's the HA is the one that we want to make our reference image, which is 3. And so final M33 HA.fit maps to conversion 00003.fit. So I got that selected, and I'm going to select that as our reference image. All right, and that's all we need to do there. Then we're going to come over to the sequence tab, and we're going to make sure that sequence is selected. And here, we're going to select an area to crop, okay? So we're going to actually create a crop at this point. And this is the crop that's going to be applied to all images. And it's really important to do the cropping early, before background extraction and other processing, because this can, especially background extraction, the stacking artifacts can affect the quality of the background neutralization and cause some weird things to happen. So getting this done right away is my preference. So that'll be my crop. So you can see I'm getting rid of the field rotation that's here for these stacking artifacts. All right. And then I'm going to give this a base name, and we'll call this, this is going to be our registration sequence. So I'll call it reg. And let me double check. So we only have the one, so our converted sequence. All right. And we are going to normalize here. And normalizing is going to get all of our brightness levels the same, so they'll have the same median value. And our cropping is set to this selection. We didn't have to do anything there other than actually set a cropping frame. All right. And this is going to go in the same folder that I have set as my home right now, which is perfectly fine, because the stuff will get deleted later. And I'll go ahead and export this sequence. All right. And we're going to confirm the crop. Okay, now if we go look at our files, we should have a sequence in that folder. Processing and convert. And so we have our registration sequence here. All right, so that we're interested in those. These mappings for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are still the same as they were above, and they'll continue to be that. All right, so now we can skip over to the registration tab, because what we want to do is to make sure that all of our images are registered and aligned after doing the crop. So we're going to do a global star alignment for deep sky, since we have a deep sky target here. And let's see, these defaults should be just fine. And we're going to register all the images from the sequence. All right. And let's take a look. We want to go back to the sequence now, and we want to select search sequences, and we want to select the registered sequence. Okay, we need to do that. Otherwise, we're going to register the originals and not our converted ones. All right, so back over to the registration tab. I can't stress this enough. In the sequence, make sure and choose your registered sequence, which is the one that has the crop applied to it. Okay, so with that chosen, and I do wish they'd, in the registration tab, they just have a drop down to select the sequence here, because it's kind of not intuitive, you know, when it's in a different tab like that. But okay, so global star alignment, we're all good here. Register the selected images. We're going to register all images from the sequence. And I'm going to go ahead and apply a drizzle here. It'll have a prefix of R, which is fine. And pixel area relation should be fine. And we're going to go ahead and click on Go Register. Okay, so all of our images have now been registered. And if we go back, we'll see our R underscore reg here. Okay, and these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 still match. these are the images that are now cropped and aligned. And if we look at those, so do I have a size on this? I don't. But yeah, there's no stacking artifacts if we look at the thumbnail. If I went back and looked at, I think, our conversion, yeah, you can kind of see around the edges, especially on this one. If I make that larger, maybe, then you can see the stacking artifacts from field rotation are on that one. But if I go to 3 in this one, then that's the cropped, and then, which is also this one. So we've got duplicates in here now, but these are registered. These are not registered. So I'm going to go ahead and copy these, and I'm going to create a new directory here called working. All right, and I'm going to paste those into there. And then I'm going to open up that conversion file again here, and we'll just real quick go into working. And so 1 is blue. I'm going to rename that to B. 2 is green. I'll rename that to G. 3 is HA. Rename to HA. 4 is Luminance. I'll name that L. And 5 is red. And I'll name that R. Okay, so now we know what all of our images are. And at this point, we can go ahead and delete the conversion directory, as we don't need it anymore. All right. So we've got that. These are all now cropped and registered, and we are ready to begin working with them. So I wanted to show you maybe another way quickly. So if we go to Photoshop, all right, and I want to open, I think I only need to open one. So let's open that original. Oh, yeah, going back to where we were here. So these TIFF files that are here, these are all duplicates of these original files. There's been no processing made to these. These are simply so that I can open them up in Photoshop. So for each one of these images, I exported it as a TIFF file. And then we know that HA is the one that has the most cropping needed. So I'm going to open that. And then just so that I can see, I'm going to add a levels to this and just bump this up so we can see those artifacts. That's all we need there, just so we can see it. So I want to, I think it's in Window, Actions, and I created an action earlier, which is called crop. Okay, so, but I'll show you. So I'll delete this action. Okay, I'm going to create a new action, and I'll name that crop again. Default action, and that's all we need to do. And what we're going to do is we're going to click on the record button here, and that is going to record what we do on screen, which is basically I'm going to apply a crop. So I click on record, all right, and then I'm going to choose to crop, and then I'll go ahead and get my crop set how I like, and make sure I'm inside those artifacts, and just look at each 4 sides. That looks pretty good. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and crop that. All right. So now that I have saved, completed that, I'm going to click the stop button here. And so now I have a saved action. Now, if I can remember where it is, I believe it is in batch. So we will go to automate, which is in the file menu, and then go to automate and batch. Okay. And then we're going to choose the default action, and the action we want is the one I just created, which is called crop. Okay. And the source folder, we're going to choose it. Okay. And that source folder is going to be our TIFFs here. All right. And we don't want to include subfolders or anything. So we're just choosing the processing directory because that's where the TIFFs are. Okay, and then here in the destination, we're going to choose a folder, and I'm going to put these into a PS cropped directory. Let me actually clean that. I was just going to show you what I did, but I thought I may as well demo it. So, okay, so the PS cropped folder is where we're going. So we'll choose PS cropped, get back over here. Okay, so PS cropped. This is pretty much all we need to do. And then we're going to go ahead and click OK. And we'll click OK on that. That's fine. Might have made a little mistake there with the HA. Yeah, I forgot to take the levels off of that. So actually, let's redo it. Just because we've got to do it right. All right, we'll go back here. And I want it to apply this crop. Actually, it doesn't have the layer on it now. So let's go into File and Automate, Batch, Crop, choose a folder, PS cropped, choose it. Oop, no, choose our source folder, which is processing. Destination folder, PS cropped, and that should be fine now. I don't have the extra layers in there. If I click OK, and we'll double check HA. Yeah, so HA is back to a linear state now. So these are all cropped, and they are all the same size. So 4013 by 24 or 2643, 4013 by 2643, and they're all cropped to the same dimensions. And then one thing that I can actually show you here in Photoshop as an extra check. So if we go ahead and open, we can open just one of these cropped ones actually, and open that. And then let's open one more, and we'll open the green. And then I'm going to copy that, and we'll paste it over here into a new layer. Okay. So there's our new layer. So we can then select both of these and put it in screen. And then we should be able to, I think we can see enough stars here where if we toggle one, and we can add an adjustment layer for levels and bump this up a little bit. That might help. I don't know if that goes below, if that helps. No. All right. So we can see just by looking here that we've got good star alignment between those two, and they were cropped separately in the batch. So we can be confident that they're aligned and the cropping work was successful. So yeah, anyway, I don't think we need to dive any deeper into that, but I wanted to show you that alternative way to do your cropping. And so at this point, I can go ahead and get rid of that. All right, and I don't need these TIFFs anymore. Okay, and I don't need this directory. Okay, so we are at square one with all of our cropped files. So the first thing that I like to do is to do a background extraction on the unprocessed linear files. So let me make sure that I'm where I want to be. So I'm in the working. I want to go into working now and set that as my home. And then I'm going to go ahead and select these one at a time. We'll just go through and I'll do the first one, and then I'll either speed through or skip for the other ones. So let's do a background extraction here on each one of these images. All right, so for the blue, I want to, and these actually all look pretty good as far as background gradient goes. We'll go ahead and go to background extraction, get that out of the way. I'm going to add dither, and let's see what we get for generate here. So I like to make sure these are completely away from the target. We have some spiral arms that come out into these areas, and I really don't want to be on those at all. So I'm basically just removing some of these grid points here. And then the next thing I want to do is go around and make sure that none of these are on stars. Okay, that looks like I'm far enough away. I could put one there, maybe there. But I just want to get out from those arms. All right, so quick inspection. We just want to make sure that we're not on stars. And so I'll run through these. We can add one there. And I kind of like to be meticulous here. Just make sure that we're on the background, not on any stars. This one's really close. May as well move it over. I can get it to delete. There we go. I'll put one here, and here, and there. Fill down this side a little bit. All right, that should be good. So we'll go ahead and compute our background. And also, I'd like to mention that I'm going to do a subtraction on this one. And generally speaking, if you have gradient, which is linear, traveling, either across or up and down directly, then subtraction will work the best for you. If you have kind of like a radial gradient, which may be from vignetting or something like that, then division is a better choice. So in this case, I don't see that I do. I'm going to use subtraction, and I think it's very light. It may not even really be necessary, but let's see what we get. Yeah, it darkened it just a little bit, and we got a little bit of background neutralization, so I'm happy with that. So we will go ahead and apply it. So I'm going to go through and do the same thing on the other 4 images. So I'll go ahead and just pause here. I'm going to get that done. And when I come back, then I'll have all of the images in a background extracted state. Okay, so I just got done doing background extraction on the last file here. And I do want to make sure and save after each one of those. So now with all of our files extracted, we kind of need to make some decisions as to how we want to proceed. And I think what I want to do, so there's a question on how I'm going to handle the luminance, I think, and I might do a little bit of research here in just a little bit, because there might be a way to get around it. If I don't figure it out, then I might not use the luminance. I could go over to Pixelmath and do what I want to do, but I'm really trying to stay in the Siril ecosphere on this particular video. I'm sure we'll probably hop into Photoshop for some finishing. Let's see what we can get done here. I think what I'd like to do at this point is Pixelmath, and let's go ahead and do this continuum subtraction, and we'll subtract the red from the HA data. So in Pixelmath, on this one, it'll be a single RGBK expression. And I've got some presets here. And we're going to use this one, which basically this removes the red, subtracts it from the HA. So I'm going to put that up here. And yeah, so like these Pixelmath expressions right now, these are getting handed around so much, they're kind of like a bottle of Mad Dog at a high school party, and sure, yeah, I'll take a hit of that. So just everybody's using these. So we need to set up a variable here, which is Q. And so I'm going to set Q, and we can start out at about 0.2 and see where that gets us. And I think it's going to be higher than that. Let's go ahead and run this expression and see what we get. Okay, so the stuff that just popped out here is our hydrogen. So I want to go ahead and raise this up. So let's go up to like 0.5, see where we're at. Okay, this is still good. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. Let's try 0.8. I'm looking for clipping to start happening here, and then I'm going to back off from there. So 0.8. Okay, that looks pretty good. So these stars have some clipping on them, but I'm not really concerned about that because that's not going to be used as part of this image. So we're really just looking at this, but I think I will try 0.75. That brightened up just a little bit. We'll go back out. I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and apply that and close, and I'm going to save this image as HA Continuum Subtraction, so HACS, and we'll save that. as it fits, and save. All right, now we want to apply our continuum subtracted image to our other. So we'll go back into Pixelmath. And so this time we're going to use single RGBK expression. So we're going to have, for our red channel, we're going to have this. For our green, we're going to have G. And for our blue, we're going to have this. I'm going to put these down in the description, by the way, so you don't have to try and copy them right here. They'll be down there. All right, and that is our Pixelmath expression. So we're going to go ahead and run that and see what we get. And syntax error is on what? Oh, HACS. I forgot to import that. Let's bring in the HACS. All right, and it's mixed, so we'll rename that to HACS. And now let's try, and that worked. And there. So we have a nice continuum subtracted image where the hydrogen alpha is pronounced, and that looks really nice. So we can work with that. We'll just keep moving from here. So I'm going to close this, and I'm going to save this just as a new copy in the working copy, and this is going to be our RGB HACS. We'll save that. Okay. So progress. I think this looks nice. I'm noticing some green around here. So I think I'm going to apply a remove green noise. We'll see what that does. That got us kind of here, but let's see what a background neutralization will do now. So if we go to color calibration and let's do a background neutralization, and we find so many stars in here. We'll use that. Let's neutralize the background. That looks good. I think I'll take a look at what this does. And yeah, we'll go with that. All right, so we have our RGB and HA combined. I'm still not exactly sure about what I'm going to do with the luminance, but at this point, I want to do a deconvolution on this. We're still linear, and I think this is still a good time to do the deconvolution. So let's do that. We'll choose a PSF from stars, symmetricals already selected. Let's generate a PSF, okay, and that looks good. Now I'm going to zoom in here because I want to see what our deconvolution actually does to our stars, and there's a couple big ones down here that we can look at. So let's get in here. I want to make sure we don't get any black rings around our stars. So I'm going to bump this up to about 18. And we'll take this to the gradient descent to, let's try 0.0004 for 18 iterations, and let's see what that does for us. Now, there is a shortcut for doing deconvolution, and I'm not going to do it right now, but you can go over into Dynamic PSF and then filter, so you only get a subset of stars in your PSF selection, and then run your deconvolution on that until you find the right settings, and then you can delete your PSF selection and then run it final, and that can be faster, but right now I'm not in a big hurry. All right, that actually, there's a black circle around that star right there. This one looked really good. Looks like the blue ones are a little bit much, so I'm going to back that off, and I'm going to back this down just a little bit. So let's undo that. And let's take this down to like 15, and I'll go back down to 0.0003 on that. Let's apply it. Okay, that seems to be a little better, but I'm still seeing some black ringing here on these, so it's not going to work. I'm just going to do this on my own time here until I get it right, and then I'll be back following. I'll let you know what my settings ended up being. Okay, so that one finished, and I actually ended up back at the defaults. So let's take a look. So we'll redo convolution. And so we get a little bit of star reduction there, and I don't have any black ringing. I think I'm going to call that good. Let's get it larger. So yeah, I think that looks nice. So we'll go ahead and close this. While I was waiting on that, I did a little bit of reading of the doc. So what I want is to be able to combine my luminance now with this image, because right now we haven't used the luminance yet. So let's let's just check it out. I haven't tried it before in Siril. I think what I'm going to do is I am going to go to, actually, we're currently on, so this is our HACS image that we just deconvoluted. I'm going to save that as a decon RGBCACS, okay? And we'll save that there to the working directory. It's defaulting to 16. I think that's fine. So let's save that as a 16. I'll need to pay attention to that. So now what I want to do is I'm going to set up a test folder here, and we'll go into processing and working. And I'm just going to create a new folder here. And this is going to be I'll just name it test. We'll see if it works out. And in that, I'm going to put my decon and my luminance, and I'm going to copy that into the test folder. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and make the test folder my home directory. Okay, and now I want to open up that luminance because I haven't done anything with it. So we'll open, and yeah, so we're still linear there. And what do I want to do with this luminance? Well, I think I've already background extracted it. I want to run deconvolution on this as well. So I'm going to run the same settings on it for deconvolution. We're just going to use the previous PSF for this and the previous settings, and we'll go ahead and apply. So I think it's interesting because normally we'd be removing the stars from the image and applying the deconvolution to the stars, but we're actually applying deconvolution to the object here as well in this process. And I think that looks like it did pretty good. Let's zoom in and just double check. And make sure we don't have any black ringing. And let's do an undo. And you can see that we had a nice reduction on the stars there. And that would be the same as what we had. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. I'm going to save that as what? I'll save that as Decon L. All right, and that's also 16-bit. Okay, still linear. So now, let's see if I can figure it out. So what I want to do is, and I'm looking at the documentation on my phone here while I'm doing this. So there's an RGBcomp. Let me show you what we can't do. So what I'd like to be able to do is, if I went into RGB compositing, I'd like to be able to apply the luminance to the RGB file, but right now I can't because the way this might work in Pixelmath is you can do a combine LRGB, but all you add is your luminance file, and then the RGB file that's open in the background will get the luminance applied to it. That doesn't work this way here. And given that the RGB is multiple channels and the luminance is a single channel, the image compositing here will throw an error on that. So we can't use it. So I want to try RGB. I don't know if I know the syntax, but if I do RGB comp, okay, here's a manual of the command, red, green, blue, luminance equals image, RGB image. This is what I want right here. So RGB comp L, which is actually, let's look at that again, equal image, RGB image. So I think this might need to be lum. So let me actually rename this because I'm not sure if it matters. But we'll go in here and processing, working, test. And I'm going to just rename this Lum, and I'm going to rename this, I think it's RGB comp. Or no, this is just RGB. See, I don't know if that's literal or actual name. Out result, so RGB image. I guess I can just use whatever the image name is. So Lum equals image. And then the RGB image. I think I'm just going to try giving it its name. And so the RGB image name here, and then pipe to red, green, and blue. And was that just spaces? Red, green, blue. Yeah, it was spaces. All right. And then close. Oh wait, that was a curly brace, not a parenthesis. Okay. Did not mean to run that. I don't think I ran it. Not sure what I did there. Oh, that was rotation. I accidentally hit something. Okay, we're back to normal now. All right, so rgbcomp dash loom equals image, then pipe, red, green, blue, closing brace, space, an opening bracket, dash out equal result file name. Okay. And we'll call this LRGB HACS and close it. Let's try running it. Command execution failed, invalid input image. Dash loom. So this one here. So what did they want it? They want it named, maybe they want it named literally RGB underscore image. Let's try that. Loom, any allowed extension. Oh, dot fit maybe. And then this is now RGB image dot fit. Let's see if that works. No. Invalid input image loom fit. Make sure I've got the create an RGB composition. So RGB comp dash loom equal image brace RGB image pipe red green blue brace space, maybe no space. I wonder if this needs, maybe I need a file extension on here dot fit. Okay, I think we're getting closer. I wonder if RGB image is more of a command. So let's see. So we're reading the fits now. So that loom.fit is being read 32 bits equals dot. So this area right here is a problem. Oh, out equals result file name. Okay, equals LRGB. Okay, dot fit. That's fine. And then RGB image pipe to red, green, and blue. Any allowed extension not found. Maybe this image. Let's try that. Maybe that's a function. Okay, so that's an optional argument. Let's see. So LRGB composition using the optional luminance image and 3 monochrome images or a color image. RGB comp. We may not need this out at all. I think that's optional. Let's try that. The loom dot, it's actually adding a dot there. So equals any allowed extension. So we're missing something here. So that doesn't use any file name. It just says red, green, blue. So loom equals a image, RGB image. I'm not sure why it's piped. So RGB image is piped to red, green, and blue channels. I would think that that would be have the extension, any allowed extension. Result file name. Okay, I think I figured it out. I don't know if I can reproduce it, but what we got was a composed LRGB fit file, which is our luminance. So I'm going to try this again. I'm going to rename that. So as test. But I did get it. So let's see if I can reproduce this. So what it was RGB comp, and then still reading docs here, dash loom equals. I think I had spaces in between the equal sign that mattered. And then the name of my luminance image, which was Loom. And then I had a space, and then the RGB image underscore image, and then a pipe to red, green, and blue. I'm going to copy that just in case. And if this works, then I will post this in the description, of course. And it's going to work. Okay, so that worked. So we actually have a composed LRGB now, which is awesome. So I'm going to move that over into the working directory. Let's open it. Okay, and we are still auto-stretched. Yeah, we're still in a linear state. So with that, so what I want to do, I think, is I'm going to come back to this. I'm going to delete this image because what I want to do is work on my luminance. So that was the composed. So the HA was my RGB here, and luminance were the two that I wanted. Well, this might be okay because I'm just looking at auto stretch right now. So, okay, let's run with it. I'm going to work with this composed LRGB, which that's actually pretty cool. So at this point, let's go linear, generalized. Now we need to stretch this a little bit to be able to see it. Okay, now I'm going to set that point. We'll give it a little bit more of a stretch, a little bit too much. Okay, let's apply that. Now let's go over to black point. Let's pull that down. 0.007 clip. I like 0, but all right, let's go there. 0.006 and apply it. I don't think we're losing much. Okay, let's go back to Generalized Hyperbolic Transform. I'm going to go to Human Weighted, and I kind of want to work on this area out here. So we'll set a point. Let's see if we can bring up those arms. And let's pull down the highlight protection point. We'll pull up the shadow protection, and that's too much. Let's take it back down. Okay with that. Let's apply. Okay, I'm going to go back over to black point, see what we can pull. All right, that's pretty good. All right, I want to go back over to generalized, and this time I'm going to go to an even, no, actually, even weighted. Pull down the highlight protection point a little bit more. Okay, that's all I can do there. And we'll just apply that. All right, I'm going to go over to the regular histogram transformation. And let's see if we can pull that down. That might be a little too dark. I'd like to get a little bit more of a stretch out of this. And let's look at this in logarithmic and see if we've got any problems. So that's not too bad. Well, that's starting to look pretty nice. I like that. And I think we can, this clipping that we're getting is, so that's shadow clipping. Okay, I'm okay with that. Let's apply it. Okay, so we're kind of getting there. I like what I'm seeing. Let's go in here. We're at 91, 137%. And I think our noise looks really good. I think that adding that luminance did a lot for us. let's do a little bit of color saturation. And I'm going to just do a global, and I think I'm going to zoom in here a bit. And let's just see what a global does for us. That's too much. Okay, let's reset that. We'll go to, kind of want to work on these reds first. Let's pull that up just a little bit. I'm going to just jam it over and see what we're actually changing. Not much. All right, so we'll change that. Let's go to the orange and browns, because I would like to see some of the structure come up in here, and I think that actually helped a little bit. Let's do another one of those. Oh, and Siril, I wish that you would keep the color saturation window open. Let's bump this up again. Okay, yeah, there we go. So see that come up? That's what I was looking for. Let's move in. So that's a little bit much. Really don't want to add color noise, but we just get some of that to come up there a little bit. And I think that looks good. Let's apply that. And let's do color saturation again. I want to take a look at these cyans. Now I got to be really careful here on these stars. Sometimes you just push it all the way up so you can see what's getting changed. Not seeing too much, but I'm going to just pull that back down a little bit. And we'll apply it. And go back over here to cyan blue and blue magenta. Preview. Not much. Apply that. Okay. So at this point, I am going to take this over to Photoshop, I think. We're almost done. You could be done here, I think, if you wanted to be. I would probably, and I probably will, crop in, maybe about there. Let's take this over into Photoshop, though. I want to see if I can maybe pull these out just a little bit more. So I'm going to save this now as my M33 LRGB, and we'll call this HACS, or yeah, Continuum subtracted, and we'll put that in the working directory, and we're going to save that as a fits. And then I'm also going to save this off as a TIFF right now, which will be 16. All right, let's go over to Photoshop. All right, so what I like to do here, the history tab, and we can open this up a little bit. So I feel like we're plenty dark on the back here. So a lot of times I would do an adjustment layer, and I'll just show you, and add a selective color and black. And then I would do a final set on my black point here, but that's getting pretty dark, you know? Although so that's where it is now. If I pull this down just slightly, get a little bit more contrast on that. So I think I'll do that about right there. And I'm not going to worry about making a new layer. So these two, then I'm going to go ahead and convert these to a smart object. And then we'll go into filter and camera raw filter. And I just need to make sure I don't hit any AI stuff here. I'm going to pull in. We've got some clipping right now for bright areas, so let's take a look at that and maybe bring that exposure down a little bit. We're in there. And these blacks, I don't know why we're clipping. All right, let me reset here. Let me start with the blacks. I don't want to blow that core out. That looks pretty good. We don't have to do too much here. Kind of like that contrast. And I don't think I'm going to do much with exposure. Maybe pull it down just slightly. All right, and color, a little bit of vibrance maybe. I don't know, we don't need much saturation. I think I'll leave that alone. Effects, let's go for some clarity to pull those arms out just a little bit. And I need to go back and pull the light, maybe exposure down. Okay, and maybe these whites down just a little bit. And then we'll go back to effects. I like this dehaze tool, both directions, but not really digging what it's doing here. So we'll leave it alone. We'll take a look at the curve. I'm going to set a block point here, and let's just give this a lift and pull down here in the top end. And I'm going to move this pin down here. I think that looks pretty nice. These stars are bright. I don't know that I have much color mixing to do, but I think I'm going to go see if I can get on that. Darken those a little bit. All right, detail. So maybe just like a hint of sharpening. And then we'll go ahead and give it some noise reduction and contrast. And then color noise reduction. Probably leave that about the same. I want to see what that looks like then. So let's zoom in on that. I think that looks really good. This arm up here is really cool. What we're at, let's go to 100% and make sure we're looking good full size. So 134. Noise wise, I think this is really pretty good. Feel like I want to add an adjustment layer for levels, and I just want to pull this back just a little bit. Let's see what that did. I think I just moved this by accident. All right, yeah, I accidentally moved it there. Okay, so yeah, so I think at this point I would like to crop this. It looks really good cropped in. I think I'll do that back in Siril though, and we'll just wrap it up there. So I'm going to go ahead and save this image back, and we'll save as PS so we know it came from Photoshop. We're going to put that in our working and save it. And cancel just a second. Let me flatten. Where are you? Flatten. There we go. All right. Now we'll save as this. And we're going to put that in working as a TIFF. We'll save. All right. We're done in Photoshop. Back here in Siril. So let me open that file. Let me change my home to working. And then I always like this part. So let me go to full screen and we'll see the difference here. So I'll load in the PS. Yeah. So there's that. So is there anything else I want to do to this? I think I'll just do a crop. Let's bring this on in a little bit. I think it is working for detail. So there's the center. See if that's what I want. I kind of want that to be the crop, I think. Although that's a little big. Let's try this crop. 100. Yeah, I like that. I'll go right there. All right, I'm going to call that finished. And, you know, there's things that I would have liked, but, you know, as far as my workflow goes, but yeah, let's go ahead and save this off. So I'm going to call this M33 Astro AF Final, and I'm going to save that as we'll save it as a fits, and we're going to put that in processing, I think. I don't know if this is actually working the way that I intended to, and save that 16-bit. Okay, and I also want to save this as a JPEG. Yeah, that did save it where I wanted, so we'll go ahead and save that as a JPEG. Make sure I'm in processing. We'll save it. I'll do an 80 for social sharing. All right. And I can come back and save off something else that I want later. And I'm just going to do a quick file cleanup. So we got that test. That can go away. Okay, good. Yeah, my command is still there. I'll have that in the description. This was really handy. I didn't know how to do it, and so thanks for bearing with me as I read the docs and figured out how to apply that. That's really awesome because being able to do that allows you to work with your luminance separate from your RGB and not have to combine them immediately early. That allowed me to stay in Siril longer, which, I enjoy being able to do that rather than bouncing around to applications. All right, that was fun. It was a good challenge. Mark, thanks for putting up this cool project, and I hope a lot of people join in and just mess around with it and see what they come up with. This is probably the first image that I can think of that I didn't use any type of star removal on. I've done that since I started learning about processing. So, working on processing an image with the stars in, that is a challenge in itself. I hope that you got something out of that kind of cropping tutorial at the beginning, because that's something that I have found to be one of the things I really like about PixInsight is the ability to just quickly crop all the image with a dynamic crop, and it applies the same to all. So going through the steps with the registration and stuff like that to get to the cropping, it's a little bit more work, but it works really nice. And then, of course, the Photoshop method, if you're not able to work your way through one of the other two. So anyway, I hope that helped you. And so it was fun. Learned about combining the luminance with RGB, with the RGB combined, and using the command line for that. So my understanding is the command line does do that, but don't expect that to work over in the GUI, because it doesn't allow you to do the same thing that you can on the command line. So that is a command line only. And I think that my command that I posted below might even be able to be even more simplified. I'll test it and see, and I'll update it with whatever the final would be in the description down below. So hey, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I hope you'll leave a like, and if you're not subscribed, I'd love to have you hit that subscribe button. And if you like the content that I do and you would like to support this channel, please consider becoming a member. I have perks for YouTube channel members, and I have a Discord, and I have a members only area over there for pre-releases and some of the other perks and things like that. So if that's of interest to you, that would be awesome. I also have affiliate links down in the description, and if you're planning on buying anything at Amazon or Agena, you can use those links at no additional cost to you, and I get a small commission, which helps out a great deal. All right, everybody, thanks so much. I appreciate it, and here's my final image.